Every single client I've got though has come from a LinkedIn post. Every single one has been a lurker.
Every single one has been LinkedIn.
Every single one has been LinkedIn. Every single one, and not just like small clients.
We got to talk about that. So every client has been LinkedIn. How are they reached? Are they shooting you a DM? Is that what's happening? What's going on, Amy? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
surviving.
Good. I'm totally surviving right now.
Right.
I've had the most craziest week last week in Times Square, but I'm just catching up. I'm catching up with like everything. I've only had like a day of catching up with stuff, and then we have this amazing podcast going on today.
Look at this. I mean, I don't know that I quite follow up like personal branding in Times Square, but we can all pretend. I'm going with it.
Oh, you're going to follow up in your own unique way. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible as people are filtered in the room. Okay, so let everybody know who you are and what you do.
I am Amy Wills. I am the co-founder and CEO of WOOF Social Marketing, where we work with businesses of all shapes and sizes in different industries to make their mark in their own little digital space.
And why WOOF? Why is it WOOF?
Well, are we talking about this live? Are we good with this?
Okay. Yeah, we can go live. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So here in the Deep South, we have, all the things that are and are not considered okay and appropriate. And so I say colorful words sometimes. 4-letter words are not unheard around here. And I used to use the hashtag appropriate AF on a lot of things and got into trouble with a nonprofit like charity volunteer group that I was a part of. They lost their marbles over this hashtag. It's not allowed. It's not professional. It's not ladylike. And I was like, it's kind of like the way my whole personal brand has gone. It's fine. Like it's not bringing the group down at all. It's just my stuff. It's all personal. It's all private. Lost their minds. And so had a falling out there. So whenever we started WOOF, it was let's just kind of have a little nod to that. So WOOF stands for we're out of fucks. And every time I see it, I'm just like, oh, look where we started and then look where we are.
Right.
And it's great. So
do all your clients know that?
Most of them do, not all of them. But the ones that know it are like, of course, like that makes total sense. So because a lot of our clients like have been following for a long time. Like they were lurkers for a really long time. So they saw the hashtag appropriate AF and they would call, they were lurkers for a long time, but whenever they did finally reach out, it was I think your content is so good because it always adds value. It helps me with this. It answers a question, whatever. And then it's so funny to see appropriate AF. Like we get to see some personality in there. And so you go, oh, thanks. So they're like, I'm finding my people that way. So
that's good.
The clients are okay with it.
That's good. Look, if Gary Vee can get away with dropping F-bombs every 5 seconds and building what I think he says like $300 or $400 million agency that he's at right now. Like it's possible, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and it's just one of those of like, if you're around me 24/7, are you never ever going to hear that? No, absolutely. You're going to hear that. You're going to hear it at some point, either in a good way, a bad way, whatever, but it's just unrealistic to be like, here, let's completely cut this side of my personality out. Like I can be professional and I can be mindful of like, there's a time and a place. But if you're like, that's a deal breaker, 4-letter words, can't do it, then I'm not your person. And I'm okay with that. So
well, this is the perfect podcast to talk about that kind of stuff because on the Forever Podcast, it's all about your brand, your business. And honestly, we got all walks of life, all different types of people that have been on this podcast. So I don't think our audience is gonna, take offense in any way, shape, or form to what you're saying. So first I want to talk about your transition from before you had your business to having your business. So I want to talk
Yeah.
about like what that transition was like and how did you take the leap?
Oh, it was terrifying. Okay. So the people, I feel like this is important to note that it was terrifying. And the whole thing, I was like, am I doing the right thing? Because you see so many posts of people that are like, I left my corporate job and I've started everything and it's been amazing and it's all
Yes.
butterflies and rainbows. It was
Yeah.
terrifying. And it was one of those where I wasn't wildly unhappy where I was. It was just one of those of, if I'm doing this for one place and I'm just, if there's any resistance at all, like imagine what I could be doing on my own. Um, and so it got to a point where I was kind of unhappy. So let's
Hmm.
do this thing. I'd been doing freelance stuff. I enjoyed it. Was I killing it? No, absolutely not. I was not by any means like, oh, I can easily drop this and go full time on my own and have no problems, like no hesitations. So it was terrifying. Made the transition, and it was a struggle. I mean, it wasn't a struggle necessarily, but it was one of those where you go, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah.
The hustle is
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But it was good. I mean, it was a good thing once you kind of take that leap of faith and realize you're putting all your bets on yourself. As cliche as that sounds, but it was good. And it was one of those where you find out real quick, like what you are good at, what you aren't good at, what you would rather pull your own eyelids off than have to do. Like you learn all of those. And so even if 5 years from now, Wolf Social isn't a success and we're not killing it, I feel like I've learned just a shit ton about myself. So you go, if I had to
Yeah.
go back to the corporate world, I would go back a completely different person than I was when I
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
So, which is
It's very interesting, isn't that? Like when you go into business for yourself and then you think back like, oh man, like who would I have been now going back into business or going back working for an organization? I know I was telling my good friend of mine, but he was also a former boss of mine back when I used to work in IT. And I told him, like, man, I would be a monster. Like, if I went back and
right.
worked at the same place, like with what I know now, there's no level of like insecurity. There's no level of, oh my God, they're in that position. So, like I'm a little weary of how I say things or how I do things. Like, I mean,
Right.
there's always politics and everything that we do, even in business. There's certain levels of how you got to read the room kind of thing. But
Right.
it just the confidence level would be like at
Yeah.
its ultimate high if I went back. And I was like, dude,
Absolutely.
I would rip it up.
I feel like the confidence and also like the just empathy because I feel like a lot of times, and I don't know about you, but whenever I was working in a different setting with other people, it's so easy to get frustrated about like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all of these things. Why aren't you? And so now being the person that is okay, now I'm in charge, and you go, I have a little bit more empathy for like my bosses in those situations and the
Right.
people around me, but also very much like the confidence level of, come on, like pick it up a little. We're
Yes.
not do more type thing. So yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
Exactly.
It is
How
funny though.
how now growing your business now
Mhm.
with WOOF social marketing, um what what's been the best way to acquire clients for you?
Um, through my own content. So I am super
Okay, yeah.
active on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on, across the platform. I have TikTok, but it's never about like trying to sell anything. Like I'm just doing my own thing. I talk about things that I care about, stuff like that, and mix in business. But I'm never like the hard sell of I'm taking new clients, nothing like that. Every single
Yeah.
client I've got though has come from a LinkedIn post. Every single one has been a
Every
lurker
single
that
one has been
every
LinkedIn?
single one has been LinkedIn. Every single one. And not
Okay,
just
hold
like
on.
small
We got
clients,
to talk
every
about
single
that.
yeah.
We got to talk about that. Okay,
Let's lean
so
into this.
so every client has been LinkedIn. How are they shooting you a DM? Is that what's happening?
No. So a lot of them, I would say 90% weren't even connected to me. So they were never on my radar. Like they're not engaging, they're not liking things, they're not viewing my profile. Never saw them. But they would send emails. Like they would go website or to my page, find my email, and here, let's send an email. And it would be I didn't want to send you a DM because I've never engaged. I've been following
Right.
you for whatever amount of time. And they would reference posts of like, I saw this one and it answered this question, or I saw that one. I mean, every single one. It's been crazy.
Wow. Wow. So they're
Yeah.
going to your website and shooting you an email or an inquiry through the
Yeah.
website. And what do you think is driving that action for them to do that? Is that through just content that you're posting? Is that through your speaking engagements? Is that through like what on LinkedIn do you feel like is really resonating for them to actually make that action to send you a message?
So, because I've tried to figure this out on a few, because initially I was like, I'm not that cool. Why are people sending me messages?
Come on, you're pretty cool,
okay.
Andy. Come on.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, but like I feel like, and it's never okay. So every message that I've gotten, has been directly tied to a link. None of the posts are ever business. Like they're never posts that I would feel like are business related or value adds. And so it's one of those of, hey, you made it. It's like I've made it easy for them to start a conversation. Hey, here's like an icebreaker. Here's an easy segue. So it's not like they're having to ask for help or say they need anything right out of the gate, but they're also not having to do this. So tell me about you. Like, I've given them an opportunity to know what it would be like to talk to me. And it's been really nice because I've never, like, as a company, we've never sent out any outbound messaging. We've never done any kind of sales pitch. Like every single client has been an inbound thing. So
is that what you teach your clients when you're working with them
yes.
on social marketing, like to just give and really share stories, or like what's your framework that you teach your clients?
With all of our clients, because a lot of them too are these mega companies. So like we have a couple of global companies that you go, this is insane. That we've reached.
Do you want to name drop a couple?
I wish. They're big enough that we have NDAs with all of them, and even that boggles my mind. And I'm like, oh my god, I made a random LinkedIn post, and here we are. How did we get here? Which is really cool though. But like with all of them, they've got these huge budgets that whenever they bring us on, it's that they've been running they've been throwing money ads, and they've been doing all this. And I mean, we're talking like 6-figure budgets just for LinkedIn ads, which is insane to me. And so we go back through and rebuild their strategies with let's replicate this kind of a system so that people are getting inbound, so that they're getting more inbound messages, just because those are better leads. Like it's people that want to be talking to you. So it's not we're going to shoot this net out to 1,000 and hope that we catch one. They're getting hundreds coming to them, which is fantastic. But we teach them how to be approachable, how to build an engagement strategy as part of their content plan. And for a lot of them, we've completely eliminated any paid advertising or
so you're
PR.
Organic.
Yeah, it's all organic.
Okay, so let me ask you. So when I was in Times Square last week, we had an amazing individual on the podcast that I also met for the first time, which her name was Jennifer, and she runs a company called the Ad Girls, right?
Oh, nice.
And so she's all about ads and running paid ads, and she's not really I would say she's not a very big believer. We were all shocked. So we were all sitting around the table in the studio, and when she was like, I just don't believe, like, she just hasn't really learned the organic way of marketing on social, and she just really believes in paid, and she had she stated her case and all that stuff, and everybody around the table was like, oh my god, like we have never heard somebody say that. So this is going to be awesome, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to drop that episode and then drop this episode, and I'm going to have the battle. And I may chop up the content, but this is so. Why do you agree that organic is better than paid?
Yes, because with paid, you can, and I'm not saying like paid is wrong. For some people, like if you've got a product to sell and it is all about like getting to the masses, do it. That's fine. But I feel like with organic, you're forced to try harder, if that makes sense. Like with ads, it can be subpar, but I can throw money at it and it's going to land in front of somebody. With
Right.
organic, it's one of those of, if I want engagement, I'm going to have to make it engaging. So maybe I've tried
Gotcha.
something that I think is great and it falls flat. Okay, well then that didn't work with our audience. Let's dig deeper and get to know them better. And
Yeah.
so that process of digging deeper, you end up knowing exactly what your audience wants to hear. And it's like you have a completely seamless, like, this is going to work every single time, as long as
Yeah.
this is what we're trying to achieve. So
Yeah.
I love it.
So I agree. I agree with you. I think both can exist. So for
Oh,
instance,
absolutely.
like if someone's running ads, they're gonna then go on your social page and see, well, who are you? So like
Right.
the organic side of it, I think, is you need a foundational base because
Yeah.
people are going to do their own research, and that's also what the organic content can help with. But the ad can be very, strategic and targeted, and at least have people introduced to them, and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm over here. This is what I got going on, and if you want to learn a little bit more, then go through the organic." I mean, and both can also coexist together.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
both are
that's
important.
that's kind of my belief on
Yeah,
it.
I don't think that you can rely. Okay, so I love organic. That's what we teach our clients. We have clients now that are wanting to do ads, and that's great. And we're like, let's test them. Then once we get into a rhythm, let's find you somebody that's what they specialize in, so that you
Right.
can nail that side too. But yeah, I think that you need both because, and I feel that way the same way I feel about social media in general. Like, do I believe it heavily in social media marketing? Absolutely. Do I think that you are going to reach all of your goals if you only use social media marketing? No, not at all, because not everybody's on social media for the same. I just think that you
Right.
need other
Right.
components. So the same thing with organic versus paid. Organic is amazing for reaching the audience that you have and, having that foundation like you talked about. Sometimes you
Yeah.
need more eyeballs. Let's do paid to bring them in. But you can't just do paid, because the people that try to do just paid sometimes go back to a shell where you go, you don't have any other content. It was just an ad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need
Exactly.
both.
No,
So
no, exactly. So Stacklist just said agree 100%, and you get more authentic new users that also want to be there. Yeah,
yeah,
100%. 100%.
absolutely.
And the goal is to build something where they know, like, and trust you. That's the goal
Exactly. Yeah.
with any type of marketing. One thing I was gonna ask you, like, what is the best way for someone to grow an audience on social? Like, and I want you to try to be as tactical as possible.
Yeah.
So
No.
like if
Okay.
you want to get nerdy and get geeky for a second, it's all good. It's all good. But like, what have you seen
Yeah.
perform really well to grow an audience on social?
So it depends on one, what kind of audience you're wanting to grow. Because,
Yeah.
like for me, I'm on LinkedIn. I want to grow on LinkedIn. For other people, Instagram's the place for them. So, step one, figure out where you need to be. You do not have to be everywhere. I feel like a lot of people skip that step one. They're like, we're going to have everything. We've got X, we've got Pinterest. We're somehow trying
Yes.
to thrive on TikTok. You go pick a spot until you figure out exactly where your spot is and then lean into that. So that's step one. And then two, for building an audience, one, you have to have this organic content. Put out your content, find what's working with your audience, and then you have to talk to them. I mean, otherwise, all you are is just like consumption content where people are going to read it and go, okay, cool. Well, that didn't, that's it. It's kind of like,
Right.
so you want to have things where they're wanting to talk to you. They want to be involved. They want to feel like they can tell other people about you and you're going to answer that person's questions and things like that. So offering consistency. And I feel like consistency for a lot of people, they're like, okay, so post every day. No, oh my gosh, just have like a common theme almost of, if I recommend your brand to somebody and say, they're the best, I think they're hilarious, and then you're posting sad shit random
Right.
days, they're going to be like, why did you recommend? They're not funny at all. Like, you have to have some consistency in there as far as what people can expect. And I think that is so consistency and engagement are my two
Yeah.
biggest, like, that's how you grow an audience and
Yeah.
get them to bring people with them.
So on LinkedIn, what's better, video or photos, or just text?
Okay, so videos right now are being treated better. They love videos
Yeah,
because they started their own
finally.
little finally. They started their own little like video feed. So
Yep.
they're really they want
Scroll
everybody
up.
to do they want everyone doing video. So if you're into video, that's perfect for you. Now is the time. What a time.
Mhm.
But I tell people, because there are some people, like some of the clients that we work with, that they would rather jump off of a bridge than do video content. And you go, then don't. Then don't do
Right.
that. For you, do text posts. Build your audience a
Yeah.
little bit, then mix in some pictures, and then maybe we'll grow up, and then you can do video. But the best kind of content is whatever you are most comfortable with, and you can do consistently.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it's all about, I mean, the name of the game is, I mean, people always want to find the hacks and what works, what doesn't work, but oftentimes if you knock on the door long enough, it's going to open. So
yeah,
just being consistent sometimes is the best thing, and not get the analysis by paralysis. So like not getting
exactly.
so concerned with how everything operates. I just this thing cracked me up. So there was a video, and speaking of I know we had talked about Gary V in the beginning about him cursing up a storm. But he had he did some live stream or something, and he was like yelling from the top of his lungs, like, to this lady that was like, you just go and post something now. And he's
Yeah,
like, do it now. Don't care about what, like, the script, don't care about who's watching, what people are going to think. Just post something, because she was getting all in
yeah.
her own head, and you could tell that she was completely in her own head. And I've never seen him be like that animated about, like, he was like,
Yeah,
do it. He's like, do it now. And he's like beating his
right
chest.
now.
I was like, holy crap. Like, it's kind
But
of
it's
intense.
true. It's so true. People like overthink it. And it's one of those where you go, okay, we've all been there. I get it. Just fucking do it. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
And so the
Mhm.
best comparison I've come up with is like swimsuit season, where everyone's trying to get in shape. Everyone wants, like, I want to be the person that's like, wow, look at her. Like, everyone's doing
Yeah.
that in their own head. No one remembers what the fuck you were wearing or how in shape you were. They're worried about
Right.
themselves. So
Right.
quit overthinking your stuff. Just put it out there. The people that it's going to resonate with, it will resonate with. The people that are going to judge you, they're going to judge you anyway. So who cares? So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's not a reflection on you anyway. It's a reflection on them, like trying to critique you to make themselves feel
Yeah.
better.
At the end of the
So,
day, no one really cares that much.
yeah.
That's
And it's
just
so funny too, because
like
like,
the truth.
yeah, it's so funny too, because like I came from, I worked for the first half of my adult life was in healthcare, where if you made a mistake, people could die. And so now it's one of those of, okay, if we put something out and there's a typo, if we put something out and it's cringy or lame or whatever someone wants to say, no one's being physically, psychologically, spiritually hurt by this
Right.
content. So it's going to
Right.
be fine. You'll survive
Right.
another day. So
Yeah.
you just have to go into that.
100%.
Like, you'll survive.
Yeah. You'll get through. It's gonna be okay. So get some content out there, start posting. I wanna talk to you really quick about how do you get speaking engagements? I know when we last talked, you said that you did some speaking engagements in St. Louis, right?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
So how do you get speaking engagements for other people, and then what does that also do for your business?
So how do I get them? Again, it's every single one has come through LinkedIn. It's been hey, we like your stuff. Would you come talk about it here? Which has been cool because I've had opportunities to go everywhere in the
Yeah.
nation talking. And it's one of those where you go, I'm meeting like LinkedIn connections for the first time. I'm like, I can't believe that you invited me
Yeah.
here. This is amazing. And then as far as what it does for it's really cool from a business perspective because one, you have to like you really have to know your shit if you're going to stand
Yeah.
on a stage and talk about it. Like you can prepare until you're blue in the face, but then you get to those question and answer things and you're like, ha, okay. Am I ready?
Yeah.
So I feel like it helps me as a business person just because then it's one of those of, okay, someone's hit me with a question that I am having to like really dig a little deeper on.
Hmm.
Which is good because then I always leave with new clients and and just from stuff like that of let's work together because maybe you didn't know the answer to this question, but by damn, you found it by the end of
Right.
this conference or whatever. They had the answer that they were looking for or that they needed. So it's great from a business point of view, just because you do get to interact with people. They get to see how you act like on the
Yeah.
fly. And you just get to have conversations with people that you don't get to normally have, in just a comment thread necessarily. So
Yeah. Yeah. And then do you use a lot of the content from the speaking engagement on your own, like LinkedIn?
yes, yeah. A lot of
Okay.
times, like if I get good questions and stuff, I'll try to weave those in so that not to put anybody on the spot, but I'm like, hey, this is a question that came up. Let's talk about it. And just pictures and things from it.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm looking at your literally your LinkedIn right now. I'm scrolling through your posts.
yeah.
And you do, just for everybody watching and listening this, it's a mixture between, I would say, like polished content. So like if it's like maybe it's a good image or it
Yeah.
shows, it's like, okay, somebody designed this or put this piece together. But also it's it's also got a lot of just like organic stuff that you're doing. Like, like you have
Yeah.
a podcast here, you're in the car, and I think you just probably flipped on the video and just were like just talking to the
Let's do
camera.
it.
Like you don't need a full production people to push out content. Um, I think this one is here with your family. I think do you have
Yeah.
two sons?
Yeah. Two little boys.
Yeah, yeah, two little boys. So like once again, like LinkedIn is not all just business. At the end of the day, people buy
Yeah.
people. So here's one where you're doing like the same pose as somebody else.
Yeah. The guy from Napoleon Dynamite. I was like, oh
Oh,
no,
Napoleon
why do I
Diamond.
do this so much?
So it's cool because you're not being so serious on the content,
Whoa.
which I think is important. So what do you feel like what do you feel like is a good cadence for that? So like you said, you never really asked for the sale. And it's funny because I advise a lot of people that I work with to do 80% of like basically shareable content,
Yeah.
educational or informational or experiential, like, hey, let me just document my life, let me share. And really 20% at some point I believe that you should ask, because sometimes people, I get this sometimes. People like, what do you do? Like at the
Right.
core, like I love you. I love the stuff you're doing. You're doing all this stuff, but like, what do you do and who do you help? And sometimes you need to like clearly map that out so that way people at least know what you do and like that you actually offer something. Because if you're just giving all the time, somebody in there is like not putting two and two together.
And that's true. And I will say that on my stuff, like personally, I'm just so, I don't know. I'm weird about it. I will tell people all day long, yes, let's make some things. And for our clients, like if you were to go through and look at their stuff, they have ones where they're like, this is very obviously what we do. Here is how to reach us. Please, dear Jesus, hit this button.
Yeah.
I just never do that because I'm like super awkward most of the time. And so I'm like, here, yeah, like just if you want to talk to me, you'll talk to me. I'll
Hmm.
never like I'll Forrest Gump run the other direction a lot of times. So my cadence is because I feel like I do talk about what I do a lot, but I just don't do it in I don't do it in the normal way of
Yeah.
here, let me show you, let's talk about my business. Mine will be like, hey, I'm sitting in car line. Talk to a client about why they aren't doing video content. They felt like they needed
Mhm.
to have it overproduced. All you
Yeah.
literally have to do is turn on your camera. let's run with it. So just little things like that, where I get to showcase, here's what I helped this person with. It could help you too. Here's what I did for them.
Okay, so
And
you're
so,
doing case study type content then. So like you will
yeah,
share stories of how you helped others. So that way
yeah,
so people watching or looking at a post, they know that they can actually reach out if they need that kind of service.
yeah, absolutely. Like, oh, I read this post, you did it for this person. Do it for me.
Yeah.
Things like that,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
think are helpful. But it takes, I mean, sometimes it takes a lot of practice for people to be able to figure out, okay, here's how I do that. And so that's a way we help our clients too, of instead of it being a hard sell, let's showcase, here's what we did with this one. So it's
Right.
not so in their face, but also it's oh, I'm going through that right now. So
Mhm.
this is perfect. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times with
Yeah.
people, and like an example recently has been, you know, I feel like everyone in the world thinks they need a website right now, which just kind of irks me. Cause I'm like, you don't need a website. You need to just make a post. Quit worrying about a website. Quit
Yeah.
trying to spend
Yeah.
money you don't need to spend right now. Um, and so going through that on content of here's how, if you don't have a website like this person, you can set up your content and your profiles so that everything you need to show what you do, talk to people, and have ways to be contacted can be right here. Like, let's not
Right.
spend 5 figures before we need to.
Right.
Um, and so things like that. Whereas if we put on there like profile optimization, some people have no idea what that means. They're just like, okay, you're going to help me with my headline. Like, no, we're going to help you save money because you can do this instead of that.
Yeah.
So being able to know what you're doing well enough to showcase it that way. I feel like that was a
Yeah.
lot of words. So
No, it's good. I was following. I'm tracking. Let's hope everybody else is tracking. We got
yeah,
a question in here from Follow Don. Says for those who made their home on Instagram,
yeah.
how should we adjust our content to succeed on LinkedIn?
So you don't really have to adjust it much. If it's appropriate for Instagram, it's appropriate for LinkedIn because I mean, you just have to think about the timing of it. So LinkedIn is all of your like your C-suite people, your decision makers a lot of the time. That's who you're typically trying to reach on that profile.
Hmm.
So um are they doom scrolling at lunchtime and things like that? Not usually. They're your end of the day people. It's I worked all day, now the kids are in bed. Now I'm consuming content on Instagram or
Gotcha.
LinkedIn. So just being mindful of those time differences, but it can be the same content. I mean, just because you're a professional and you're on LinkedIn doesn't mean you're not consuming things and memes and videos and everything that's on Instagram. I do
Yeah.
way too much during the day. So they're still wanting to find those things. Yeah. So they're still
Yeah.
wanting to find those things. So put that same stuff on LinkedIn, just at a different time.
Yeah.
So
Different time, the timing on things yeah, I think that's great advice. And often like if you have a post that's winning on Instagram, you can definitely post that right to LinkedIn.
yeah.
And I think just adding even slightly more copy to it, like explaining it in a different way.
Yeah.
Especially I mean, depending on how you shared that story. But sometime on LinkedIn, I know that like the skimmability of a post, you want to make sure that people can just like quickly digest your
Right.
post. And sometime on Instagram, it's more like I know some people would like write the full book, but also some people just do like a short kind of caption and then they let their video or reel do like most of the
Yeah.
talking for them. So it's a little bit different, I think, on LinkedIn because not everybody is. Some people are at work and they're digesting
Yeah.
their content. So sometimes having a great copy in there can really help.
Right. And captions, I feel like that's super important for LinkedIn because so many people are I'm working at
Yeah.
my desk, but I'm also absolutely consuming content. So having captions so that they don't have to have full volume on while they're doing things. And I love what you said about, the copy and the captions because that is important. That's something I see as a big difference between Instagram and LinkedIn sometimes, just personally, is I never really read captions on
Mm,
Instagram unless whatever's in the graphic or video like directs me to it of
yeah,
here
yeah,
you want the rest of the story, you have to go to the captions. Then it's like I
right.
begrudgingly here I
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Um, whereas on LinkedIn they're more heavy. So those first 2 or 3 sentences are really what people will like that's where they're saying before they scroll. So making sure that that's punchy and catches somebody. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. Well, hopefully, follow Don. Hopefully that answers your question. I actually met Don in DC area
oh, that's
back.
cool.
This is a few months ago. So hopefully he's doing good. Um, okay, I got one last question for you. Because you stressed it so much on this podcast, and I want to ask you. So with you having your so much traction on LinkedIn, right? And you said like this is
Yeah.
like the number one way on how you're getting clients, speaking engagements, like everything is coming from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Um, how what's the next move to help grow even more of your audience on LinkedIn with your personal brand? So, like, is there something strategically that you're thinking about for you and your business to grow that for others that? And the reason why is I'm trying to put you in the framework for yourself so that way others can
Yeah.
listen in and say, okay, she's already got this level of success, but what does it now take to get to the next level, or is it simply just do more of what's working? Like what's going through your brain as far as like how to get even more to the next level?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Because of course, like maintaining the momentum that we have is important. So doing that, but like I want to be able to do more speaking engagements and things like that. And so I have had, I've had success in getting that just with my normal content. So the challenge that I am giving myself for the next year is to do more video content that's actually more strategic. I can do
Okay.
video. I just am one of those that I just don't a lot just because I'm busy doing other things. I'm being a mom, I'm helping with clients, things like that. So I don't do it a lot for myself. But I want to be able to do more speaking. So to do more video
Right.
content, and even if that is like a LinkedIn live series where I am a bit more challenged of this is video, it's on the fly, kind of the same setup as if I was at a conference or on a stage or whatever, where you're getting
Oh,
those
okay.
questions. So almost like a here, give me more practice type thing. So that's my
Yeah.
challenge that I've given myself for 2025. So everybody can watch
Nice.
along, and either it's going to go well or it's going to go really bad. So
I think it's gonna go just
there you
fine. I
go.
think it's gonna go
Yeah.
just fine. Don did say it was very helpful. Yes, and thank you. So,
Well, good. Good.
so you helped somebody today.
There we go. That's what it's all about.
No, that's fantastic, and because I think as you so first, it's a couple takeaways that I'm getting from this is like just start and post and get some level of
Yeah.
consistency on social media, and then once you reach like a baseline where you know some things are working for yourself, then it's about being more strategic in the type of content or the next level of where you want to go. And
Yep.
so basically maybe saying, okay, instead of me just off the cuff, spitting something into the camera and being like, hey, this is what's going on, this is top of mind. Maybe you write a list of like, hey, here's the top things, top questions in my industry, and I can focus in on those and then do content on there, and then just kind of a little bit more mapping out of the content. But also what you said, I think is really awesome, is that if they want to speak more and be on more
Yeah.
stages, like maybe just create environments where you're doing that, so that way
Right.
people can see that you're actively doing that more often, so you can get more opportunities. So I think that's super smart for everybody listening and watching, to as you want more engagements, like try to apply that and say, hey, where can I show up more on a stage and platform? And honestly, a podcast in my eyes
Yeah.
is a stage. This is
Oh,
a place
absolutely.
where there's a ton of people that don't probably know who you are. Maybe some do, I don't know. But they're
Right.
they're learning they're learning who Amy is now, and they, who knows what happens at once this actually goes live and
Mhm.
posts and everything. You never know, somebody might get inspired by what you said and bring you out on a stage. So
Yeah.
that's super good advice.
Yeah. So fingers crossed. We'll see how 2025 turns out.
Awesome, awesome. So, Amy, where can people get connected to you? Where can they find you? I always encourage people to change their circle, because if they do, they
Yeah.
can change their life. So, how can they get
Yeah.
connected to you?
So obviously LinkedIn, like we keep talking about, may as well. You can, Amy Leann Wills. I have like a little star in front of my name, which is also a handy tip to do on any social, because then you can filter out spam messages, because it's always, hey, star. Oh, dang it. Every time. And then everywhere, yeah. And then everywhere else, at Amy Leann W. So you can reach me that way personally, or woofsocialmarketing.com if you want to like see the more professional side.
The more professional side of Amy.
So,
well, no, this has been absolutely incredible. I know there's probably a lot of other avenues and ways we could have went about the conversation, but I think that we got people a lot of tactical tips and also just how to with social media. And I think most of the battle is in here than knowing like every little tactic of exactly what's going to help them grow, because most people just aren't doing enough or really anything. And then even for a lot of large companies, I feel like they just don't have soul in their content.
Exactly.
They're kind of like,
you can't just be
sterile.
4 walls.
Yeah. It's like, how are we really building a connection here? And you're doing an incredible job for all your clients and everybody that you work with, and even for yourself. I love people that talk that talk, but they walk the walk at the same time. There's nothing more that irks me more than a social media marketing company that doesn't social media market themselves. It drives me absolutely off the wall. And I understand it's different. You're trying to market yourself, and I get it. It's a slightly different beast. But if you're gonna do the thing that you say you could do for others, you got to do it for yourself. That's my belief.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like, hang on, proof of concept. If you can't do it for yourself,
right?
Like, you should be the easiest person to market for is yourself.
You should be the easiest one to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And you're killing the game. So thank you so much for being on this episode. And everybody listening, watching, please like, comment, and subscribe to this episode. And don't forget, if you can change your circle, you could change your life. So please reach out to Amy, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace. Yay. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell for more amazing content that we're going to be putting out. And don't forget, you can change your circle to change your life.